Let me welcome you all today for this discussion. We believe a very interesting discussion because actually the topic we have today, it's not discussed very often. Future of art, art of the future. We would like to combine the reflections on art itself and future of art with the new technologies and especially with artificial intelligence, just to see how far we use artificial intelligence in art and how the artists see these developments. My name is Małgorzata Bonikowska. I am the president of the Center for International Relations and the Think Tank Institute, based in Poland, European Union. And we do this in a series we entitled the series of talks Asia-Europe or Europe-Asia Online Bridge. The objective we put to this series is to bring together Asians and Europeans. In this case, today will be mostly Poles and Polish artists also who work all over the world with colleagues from Asia. In this particular case today, it will be China and Hong Kong. And to do that, we thought, of course, we have to have a good partner. That's why we work together with the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Berlin, by the way. And let me welcome our colleague Bill Lee. Bill, the floor is yours. Please open.
Thank you so much, Małgorzata, and distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. And my name is Bill Lee. I'm the director of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Berlin. So I'm bringing you today a little bit of spring sunshine from Berlin, as well as this very lovely background of the Hong Kong Victoria Harbour. And first of all, I applaud for the really insight of Małgorzata to bring together Asia and also Europe in these important discussions, especially today's very interesting topic, art and future. And we all know that present day experience shape art and shape future. So whilst most of us are in different degree of lockdown in Hong Kong or in Europe, I find it very interesting to look ahead and also to ponder how the pandemic has accelerated the transformation of art and the whole art market itself. The pandemic and the consequent leapfrog of digitalization has certainly left its mark on the art scene. And very interesting topics like NFTs and use of really AI in creation are top of the tongue nowadays. And why is Hong Kong so relevant in this discussion? I think very importantly, in the whole of Asia, we know that the art market has demonstrated a very resilient characteristic amid the really pandemic crisis. And Hong Kong is emerging as the region's art hub. Our Hong Kong's unique history and strategic geolocation made it possible for us to be the connecting point of the East and the West. And in this particular case, the East and West art markets and also the art talents. So in Hong Kong, in present days, we don't just find ourselves having a lot of talents. We actually see that the art market itself is flourishing because of the very wealthy and individuals and also entrepreneurs who are looking to expand their art market and art collections here. Perhaps I should just quote one figure. In 2020, Hong Kong's global art market shares rose from 17.5% in 2019 to 23.2% in 2020, which is overtaking London for the first time in 2020. I think this figure speaks for itself, that a lot of attention is now towards the art market in Hong Kong, in China, and also in the whole of the Asia. And another key issue is that really despite notwithstanding the pandemic, Hong Kong remains connected to different places in the world. And again, I quote two examples. The Swiss art fair giant Art Basel that we all know. They held its only physical event in 2020 in Hong Kong. And this Hong Kong Spotlight by Art Basel featured 22 galleries in November last year. So we remained we remained connected, and we were able to organize physical art events despite the pandemic in Hong Kong. And also in June last year, another example was the Hong Kong Art Gallery Association, which at the very signature Tai Kwun in Hong Kong, they organized the Unscheduled Tai Kwun, which was another huge event welcoming some 3,000 visitors. So I think it's very important that despite all the challenges, despite all the really disruptions from the pandemic, Hong Kong remains the place to connect all the talents, all the collectors, all the entrepreneurs, and so on. And also, art is so relevant to the city, also because it's really one of the government's priority in Hong Kong. We are very excited about Hong Kong's upcoming development at the West Kowloon Cultural District, which is the flagship project in Hong Kong designed to boost Hong Kong's really reputation as the international art hub in Hong Kong. And also, amongst all these different new developments at the West Kowloon Cultural District, the centerpiece is the M+ Museum, which is Hong Kong's new visual cultural museum that is scheduled to be opened in 2021 this year. So M+ is going to be the interdisciplinary museum with an international collection that we are very proud of, because this will become the one-of-a-kind museum in Asia. So I will not go on, and I should pause at this moment, because I think everyone is very eager to listen to the wisdom from the panelists. But I really think that besides talking about really economic rebound, recovery, we should spend a little bit more time and talk about this very important and interesting topic of art in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill, for all these statistics and this, painting you painted in front of us of Hong Kong being not only the financial hub and business hub, but also art hub. That's exactly why we wanted to do this conversation with you. And also we thought, that for us Europeans, it's obvious that the center of attention has moved towards Asia, and especially, China and the surroundings. We discuss it very often, but really not at all often as far as art is concerned. So we would like to bring to the table today both people who are based in Hong Kong or China, and people who are based in Europe, Poland, but not only, to discuss it. Where are we? How we see what is this vision of the future we have? If this is something we see in a similar way, or there are differences between us, and how is, in practical term, how the artists see artificial intelligence as well. So let me just move on to the discussion itself. We have really great number of panelists. We have 4 people who are with us today at the table, and 2 people who gave us comments on this, 2 artists. So let me just move on to the discussion, and it will be moderated by my colleague Agnieszka Ostrowska, the program director from the Center for International Relations. So Aga, over to you.
Thank you very much, Małgorzata. Good morning, everybody, and good evening, because in Hong Kong it is already evening. So for the sake of our today's discussion about the future of art and art of the future in the context of new technologies and in the context of artificial intelligence, we have managed to gather an outstanding and fantastic group of panelists coming from both the world of art and the world of technology. So our Asian-European bridge is also art and technology bridge, I hope. And I also hope for a very interesting discussion because of this variety. And I would like to ask our panelists for a very quick round of introduction, starting from our Hong Kong guest, Professor Pascal Funk. Could you maybe very briefly tell us what industry you come from and who you are?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Hi, so everyone, I'm very honored to be here. I am a professor at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and also the director of the Center for AI Research here, short name CARE. And our center pushes for interdisciplinary research. So we have recently set up a joint lab with the Central Academy of Fine Arts in Beijing to work on the AI art. And I am also a visiting professor there, and I co-teach a class on AI for art. I have been in the field of AI since 1988. My main research field is natural language processing, speech processing, and recently we have worked on a lot of interdisciplinary projects, including, as I mentioned, AI art, and we have been working on projects with artists from CAFA in Beijing. And I will talk about my vision and my hope in the rest of the panel. So I'm very honored to be here and hope to learn from you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I would like to add maybe that both parents of Professor
Yes.
were artists. So
yes.
in a way, Professor is bridging the gap between
Right.
engineering world and art.
Yes.
Professor Jeffrey Shaw, please, if we could learn about you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again. Also a great pleasure to be with you today. I'm a new media artist. I've been researching new media art since, you could say, the 70s. I've spent a lot of time in Europe, for instance, at the ZKM, Center for Art and Media in Karlsruhe. But 11 years ago, I moved to Hong Kong as Dean of the School of Creative Media at City University. And also clearly motivated by the fact that there was so much, let's say, new energy and creative energy in Hong Kong at that time, and there still is. Certainly, the School of Creative Media is a hub for artists who are doing a lot of innovation with new media and with technology. I also have affiliations with CAFA in Beijing and also with EPFL in Lausanne. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. And talking about parents, that might be interesting for our Polish viewers, that Professor is Polish, actually. His parents are of Polish origin, emigrated to Australia, changed their lives completely, as well as their name. What was your original name, Professor?
Chojewski.
Chojewski, yes.
So I'm bringing to this conference Australasia, Poland, Hong Kong.
That's right. Chojewski, that's a very Polish name. So Ewa Śmigielska, I don't want to talk about your parents, but what is your background?
Oh, I'm very honored that I could be also the part of this discussion. So I'm the sculptress, but also I'm the visual artist. So I'm trying to mix these two different backgrounds and two different basic things in the one piece. I'm working in Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw in Faculty of Design, but also I'm the ambassador of the connection between Poland and China in two different schools, like Sichuan Fine Arts Institute in Chongqing, and also I'm the professor in the sculpture department there. So my way between, like, this bridge between Poland and China starts like 4 years ago. And maybe even though, Agnieszka, that we didn't speak about my parents, I think I should to add, because they are like sociologists and they open my heart for two different cultures. So I grow up in that kind of home that maybe my way was started many years before, that I love different cultures. So even though I'm an artist, I think that part was really important.
Thank you very much, Eva. We really count on your sharing with us your insights and observation about the differences between the state of art and in China and Poland. And last but not least, Piotr Mieczkowski from Digital Poland.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. I'm leading a Digital Poland Foundation, which lately created the first contest for art, which was created by AI. So it's a very fresh contest, first of its kind in Poland, and we are we promote AI in Polish society, and we run several initiatives like AI for managers, etc. So the art, I would say, is just, let's say, one of the initiatives around AI that we do. Just yesterday we launched the State of Polish AI, which includes map of Polish AI startups, corporations, state of research, how many AI experts do we have in Poland, all in English, 200 pages long. So I would even call it maybe a small Bible. Like I said, thank you for inviting me, because it's a very, very hot topic, especially because we are discussing with current auction houses whether we should put those AI art on the auction, and whether or not to make a first NFT real auction in Poland, which is a quite interesting topic. But I believe later on there will be some time to give you a feedback on what the people who are buying this art thinks about AI art and whether there's a place for exposition, I would say, to put this art on, let's call that wall. So thank you for having me again, and I mute myself.
Thank you very much. I hope that your artificial intelligence created art will be as successful as Edmond Bellamy's portrait, which was sold for like how many? Over $40,000 at Christie's. So yeah, maybe that's also the future. Let's hope that artificial intelligence will be able to produce work that will be presented at respectable art auction houses. Unfortunately, two of our speakers could not join us online because of different time zones or because of their professional obligations. Katarzyna Stanny, who is the head of Media Imagining Lab at the Department of Media Art and Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. She's having a dean's meeting today, and Michał Znaniecki, who is a famous international, I would say, opera director, working both in China and in Europe and in Latin America. He's currently in Dominicana, so I guess he must be sleeping soundly right now. But we recorded their short statements. And before I would like you to invite to the discussion, the first actually round of questions that I have for you, which will be how artists see artificial intelligence. We will show you their short videos. But before we come to this point, I would like to initiate a discussion about another subject. What is the state of artificial intelligence implementation in the area of art in our countries? On which level are we? And I would like to start with asking Professor Pascal Fung, because Hong Kong is considered to be like Asia's art capital, right? And I know that Hong Kong government delegated like quite a lot of money, 30 million US dollars, the equivalent of 30 million US dollars. I don't know how much it is in Hong Kong dollars, but it's still quite a lot, for the development of artificial intelligence and new technologies in art. So Professor, can you tell us how it actually translates into practice? What is the outcome?
So I think this is still the beginning of a development stage for tech art, especially in AI art. So in AI, so I can talk from my own experience. I started exploring this with a professor in CAFA whose name is Xu Bing. He's a very famous Chinese artist. And I think the first thing we did was to use machine translation to translate from human language to this emoji symbolic icon language that he created as an art project. And then we moved on to explore, AI technology as a tool, basically. So things like style transform, and also things like AI, using AI to generate images and so on. But I think both of us are more interested, we're less interested in using AI as a tool, like existing AI system as a tool, for example, to do style transform or to do image generation. Because, personally, I feel that that is more like AI as a tool is more like the evolution step of, you have your smartphone cameras, which has filters, right? And then you've had different kind of filters. Now you can have an AI filter. And to me, it's very interesting as an application, but it is not art. I think he and I would both feel that for something to be considered art, it has to be something that has never been done before. So, and to me as an AI practitioner, meaning as an AI researcher that, I've been in AI since 1988, what interests me is to push the boundary of AI and art together. So not using AI as a tool for art, but to create art and AI algorithms together. What do I mean by that? So, I have to go back to the origin of my background, which is that my parents, my mother is also a graduate of CAFA, and my father from Hangzhou, but they basically, when I was very little, they try to groom me as to become an artist, right? So I received a lot of education in art when I was young, and including, I watched a lot of movies, including sci-fi, right? And that actually inspired me to become an engineer. Turns out a lot of AI engineers, especially of my generation or previous generation, were all inspired by sci-fi movies. And our vision of AI is actually heavily influenced by movies. So the origin of AI, the creativity, the origin story of AI, you can say came from art, all these artistic imaginations of the future. So AI itself is a very different kind of technology because it's always set between fiction and reality, right? So something that used to be sci-fi now is the reality. And we're looking into what is the future of AI. Now we are again looking into fiction, and we try to, realize that vision to become reality. So working with artists together, my goal is to hope to actually bring artistic vision into the creation of technology. So it's a little bit reverse or inverse of what people usually think of AI art. They usually think of AI art as in using AI technology to create art. For me, it's the creating something as a single entity called AI art. So it's not AI and art, it's really one thing. And I hope to see new algorithms that, that can come out of creation of this art, that will create new algorithms. For example, in AI, many years ago when I was a student, we created a lot of AI algorithms for defense purpose, for military use. But then these algorithms later on are appropriated, applied to civilian use, right? So I'm actually hoping that we'll create art and create new AI technology from the process of creating AI art. And then that will push the envelope of technology advancement, and that will in turn benefit people's lives. So it is it's a bit of so we are still starting at that. From that vision, we're still doing baby steps. All right. And I hope that this thing called AI art is something that I think today we still cannot imagine what it is going to be. So all the style transfer, all the creation of images, those are very interesting, but I don't think we have seen the real, the beginning of real AI art yet. So that's my view. And I hope the Hong Kong government's support of tech art will be a boost for the creation of such tech art and media art, and as well as AI art.
That's a very, very, very bold vision and very interesting concept that AI is not only a tool, but actually this is the artists who co-create and create algorithms. And I would like to ask Piotr Mieczkowski how close we are in Poland to this vision, because, well, from your Digital Poland reports that I studied, we can learn that only 4% of artificial intelligence solutions applied by Polish IE companies go to the sector of art and culture. So how would you comment on that? Why so little?
Yeah, very, very briefly. So first of all, I fully agree with Professor, that was just said before. So the AI art, I think, started several years ago. The first pioneers in Poland that I found, that was the first one. Actually, they were using robotic arm to paint something. Of course, it was, I would say, it was not a beautiful picture, but nevertheless, they started that, I think, like 10 or even 15 years ago. But I think the exposition of AI art, I think in Poland, it showed up, I think like 3, maybe 4 years ago. And now actually, yes, 4% of startups, AI companies in Poland are saying that, yes, we do AI art. But mainly, they started doing this as a, I would say, not focusing on getting money or earning money on AI art, but rather using capabilities or features of AI to enhance the picture or do something with the video. Which means that, for example, there is a startup, Comixify. It's a startup where you upload a picture of yourself, even you could make a screenshot of me right now, and it will transform the picture to a comics, you know, as a, you could change over there, like whether it should be a Marvel style or some different style, I would say. So it started a couple years ago, and one of our idea to start the talk ongoing, like whether AI or algorithm is an artist, because you're probably aware of the discussion from legal point of view, who is the owner of the art, whether it's the artist or the person who has the tool, or whether the algorithm. So still, of course, is the artist, because it's just the tool. But nevertheless, we wanted to start a discussion, and that's why we created the first contest for that. Let me just even share the screen just for 30 seconds, just to show you. So here is the you should see right now the screen, digital arts. Right. So we created that in 3 categories: open, new, and metaphors, transformation. And what are the findings? First of all, 80%, or maybe even almost 80% of the people are data scientists, or let's say people with a background in AI. So it's still very relatively new to artists. We have some very good, by the way, the best products, or the best paintings, or the best videos that was produced actually were produced by the artists. So most of the artists won in our contest. So we just finished that, and let me change the page. So I will send you after the meeting. I could send you a link to a virtual gallery, because we had an exhibition. We're supposed to have an exhibition with National Museum in Warsaw, but due to COVID, they had to close. So we decided to make an exhibition online. So actually, from wherever you are in Hong Kong, also you could see it. So there are several cases, and most of the cases, I would say, focus on the thing that was mentioned by the professor, which means that you take the picture with the original on the left, then you put the picture of, actually, I think his wife, the wife of the artist, and then it transforms the original picture, put it on the input, and then you get an output. So that's an example. So it's pretty fresh. I must say that when we approach the media companies, the biggest one, like Discovery Group, that's one of the biggest media group from US or Linear Access Bringer, they were, I would say, it was fresh for them. So we are now thinking about bringing the art to the media, like a product placement. Of course, it's not a product, but we want to put it in the TV series or somewhere in the background to show that, hey, we have the first, I would say, AI art in the TV. So that's the current, I would say, status. In terms of exposition, I had a very interesting discussion with the leading, I would say, because that's the number 1, number 2 in Poland in terms of auction houses. And I must say they are not ready at the moment. I mean, because they asked me the question, for example, okay, several years ago, there was a street art boom, and then there was a video art boom. But the main challenge, but I think it's going to change, by the way, they have to open the mind. But nevertheless, they said to me that the main challenge when people buy art is they want to put this on the wall. By the way, I have a couple digital drawings on the posters, so that's digital animals just above my bed. But anyway, I'm saying this because the people said that if you buy the digital art, so the main challenge is what can you do with it? I mean, it's inside your computer, whatever, smartphone, and the main challenge is we are missing the digital I would say the digital paintings on your wall. And second actually was whether the buyers will be open to buy that. Because he mentioned that most of the Poles, at least, that are buying the art in Poland, okay, some of them are open to something new, but 80% or 70% of the buyers are focusing on buying the previous art, I would say, like from 19th century or 20th century, which is like created by famous Polish artists, I don't know, 100 years ago. But nevertheless, I was telling the CEO, by the way, because one of them is said, okay, let's figure out maybe within a couple of months, let's come back to discussion again. But nevertheless, I want to underline the world is changing. Forget about NFT, even the current boom. Just take a look at the TV. In Poland, I don't want to make any product placement here because probably any other TV company is doing that. But nevertheless, there is a TV campaign ongoing right now in Poland, done by Samsung, which is, as you know, one of the electronic giants in Europe, in the world, I would say. And they are just offering a TV, which is called Frame, Frame, which you put on the wall. And if you buy that TV, you get access to 300 best paintings from art galleries. So now they position the TV. You could buy 9 kind of frames, like a wooden one, plastic one, white, golden, whatever. You could put this TV on the wall, and it will look like a painting, right? But it's digital, and it have many features. I think we don't have time for that, but it have many features. Like it goes dark, so if there is a dark in the room, it's getting darker, so it looks like a real picture. It doesn't have this brightness all the time. It's safe energy, whatever. And I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. Just 1 year ago, I was about to buy, but I have already 2 TV screens in my house. But maybe I will buy the third, or I will wait when the one will be broken. Because now LG is offering a TV which is 2 millimeters thick. It's like glass. So I'm telling you, the world is changing, and I truly believe that within 20 years horizon, you're gonna put a TV glass on the wall, and people will forget about, I would say, physical paintings. So I truly believe it's the trend. Probably right now we have a speculation mania around NFT, but nevertheless, I truly believe the world is changing, and you're gonna see the glasses or TV which are on the walls, and people forget about putting physical pictures and put the digital ones on the wall.
Well, maybe we're facing a revolution while art and science and information technologies get together, combine together. Professor Shaw, the idea of a work of art which is elusive hasn't been strange to you, because this is what you actually have been doing. You are a veteran of the creative use of digital technologies. So I'd like to ask you about your perspective on what Piotr has said, that people want to buy a piece of art to hang it on the wall. The best if it is painted with oil paints, because they will last longer. And also in the context of your students, because you work at 2 universities, right? So I would like to tell me to what extent your students also are using the artificial intelligence or new technology solutions, or to what extent do you see that they are kind of attached to old ways of imagining? Please.
Okay, I mean, I find this discussion very, very interesting, also a little controversial. I have to tell you that as an artist, as a young artist, one of the things I was protesting against was putting things on a wall. And I said to myself, as a new media artist, I'm going to make things which can't be put on the wall. In other words, my vision of the revolution in art was a new kind of experience, a new kind of art experience, not just the object on a wall. Whether the object is a painting or whether the object is a screen doesn't really make that much difference to me. It's the dynamic of the relationship between the viewer and the artwork, and creating a new space of interaction, of experience. For me, the model, in a way, of what technology really does for art is the cinema. You know, cinema revolutionized art, gave it a whole new dimension and a whole new type of experience and a whole new narrative structure. And I'm looking for that kind of newness when I think of technology and art. And the other issue for me is that I feel that because technology has a certain momentum, and the momentum, of course, is coming from industry, is coming from a capitalist economy. Basically, there is it's an engine that is unstoppable because so much depends on it. It means it's also a cultural force. Yeah, technology. We live in a machine culture, and then the question is, what does an artist do in the context of such a changing cultural environment? And at that point, it was clear to me that as an artist, I have to engage with technology, because I feel that it's not just industry or not just science that has to give shape to technology, but it's also artists who have to give shape to technology. And as was mentioned earlier, I do believe that there is in art and technology a fundamental synergy, in the sense that the two things go hand in hand. Technology informs the art, inspires the art, and the art also informs and inspires the technology to take new directions.
And what do your students think about it? Do they also feel the synergy between art and technology?
Well, you know, our students at School of Creative Media, they come to our school because of who is teaching there, and all our teachers, all our professors are deeply committed to exploring new avenues. And there are many new avenues. I mean, one of the exciting aspects of new media is that you can go in so many different directions. And AI, machine learning are just some of the threads that you can follow. So our students come actually impassioned to engage with these potentialities. And our professors are people who are very excited by discovering the new. I mean, actually, one could say the history of especially of Western art, modern art, contemporary art. I mean, art is valued for its innovation. We expect an artist, if we look, we are always looking for the new painter, the new sculptor, the new media artist. So art and innovation this is a fundamental marriage, entanglement, yeah? So art, innovation, technology, these things are a very, very coherent whole.
Thank you. Eva, you work both in China and in Poland. So I would like to ask you, are Polish and Chinese students to the same extent impassionate to engage with the possibilities of artificial intelligence and new technologies, as Professor nicely put it?
Oh, yes, thank you for this great speech, Professor. Unfortunately, I think because of the situation that we have in Polish schools, and it's such a different, like the area to work as in China, Polish students are not so open for the VR or AR part, and they could not develop it so much because like in the school, the background is much more smaller from the like the basic things than in China. But for example, some of the students, if they want to try and to develop themselves, they could use the extra programs that for now we have with Warsaw Technological University. So some of those connections between two universities, this is like the tool that they could use and they develop in the area. And I think the main thing for the visual artists, especially those who are like working with design or with the space, like the sculptors, it's the idea of the immersion in art. So they are like trying to use some kind of new techniques, new way how to interact with people, how to make some multidisciplinary things. But in China, for example, like in the last December, I was like having the international competition. It is like held by Jiao Xintao. It is the title is like the Sculpture Tomorrow Award. There was like a huge part of artists, they present art where the AR was the also main part, even it was like the sculpture award. So the way how they are trying to use and develop themselves in the academy, and as I could observe in Sichuan Fine Arts Institute, it's much more bigger in the part in this educational process. So I think like we have really long way to, like in Poland, to try to teach our students to use it, because like the lockdown gives us beautiful tool as is the online virtual collaboration. And even though we cannot go to China for more than 1 year with our students, there is several projects that we are trying to do using the new techniques. Even this is like the art school, like Academy of Fine Arts and Sichuan Fine Arts in Chongqing. There are like several ways how they could, for example, dialogue using the visual dialogues between them. So I think that was like really great point where Polish students could even, they could not develop as much as Chinese students. They could try to feel this visual language and try to understand it, because for example, I'm the sculptress, and for me, the most important is the space. So we are trying to talk with our students that even you are using some kind of new media and new technological tools, you could also think in the most safety way. So when they are, for example, using the space and we're making the sculpture, they are trying to do by themselves using, for example, the Arduino systems to collaborate with people and try to open they experience for that. But I'm really happy that Polish students have got this touch with Chinese students, because Chinese students are much more open-minded in this area, and they also, even they are students, could teach us. So I think it's like really great collaboration. I could talk a lot about this, but and show you a lot of beautiful projects. I don't want to interrupt this whole great meeting, but I think the next steps it should to be like in Polish schools, like to open much more that part for the AR, because like after lockdown and after this whole part, we could stay in that point in somehow projects like the working with theaters across the whole world, and even though we could not move each other, we could build some kind of beautiful pieces of art.
Eva, thank you very much. I think that if Polish students have such enthusiastic lecturers as yourself, they will feel encouraged to use new technologies and artificial intelligence solutions. So thank you very much. That was a very interesting insights of all of you. And now I would like to move to another round of our discussion about artists. How artists actually see artificial intelligence. Is it like just a useful tool, as somebody said at the very beginning, a threat, or maybe like a fully fledged competitor who is a creator? And before I ask you to comment on that, I would like to ask Ada, please, could you show us the statements that we recorded from Kasia and Michał on this question? And both, they are not in the agreement, I would say. You will see for yourself in a second.
One way of speaking of art, it will be the art made without human being. Just with the tools of AI or with some algorithms. But I'm sure that the human being and the artist as a person will always exist, because this is very personal. This is what artist is making when he's painting, sculpting, or drawing. This is very personal. So everyone can be the artist, and it's for me it's difficult to imagine that we will live in a world without artists. I think this is not possible. The tool is only another way of creating the art for me. It's a new tool. Artificial intelligence for me is a new tool, like it was with the photography, like it is with the programs of Adobe, for example, or another packet of programs for graphic designers. So this is a new way of speaking, but new language of art. For me, artificial intelligence is new language of art.
Art is very a rich word. So the art is something that stimulates my emotion. So I'm sure that artificial intelligence can do it in different way, maybe because it's exciting because of this perfection, because it's in different way of thinking, maybe something new, different that I can't imagine it. And so this is amazing. So this is like avant-garde made by an artist, by a man, by a woman, by children, or by machine, and it will be stimulated for my emotions. So it's art, of course.
So these are two contradicting statements, and I would like to ask Professor Scholl first. Professor, you've been actually producing digital art almost of the time. Aren't you a little bit afraid that this is the first sector that actually could be replaced by artificial intelligence? Because as long as we cannot think that Michał Znaniecki, who is the opera director, will be replaced that quickly, because he needs performances, he needs to gather people on stage. But your work could be very quickly, I would say, replicated by AI systems.
Look, I'm always a little surprised that people have a kind of replacement anxiety. Okay, I don't see these developments as replacements, but just as expansions of ranges of possibility of how we can live our life on planet Earth. Right? These are just new dimensions of our existence, new dimensions of our culture. You know, when photography came, everybody was panicking, saying it's the end of painting. You know, we now have photography. Why do we need painters anymore? But it was not the end of painting. In quite the opposite, photography was an enormous inspiration for painting, and painting was an enormous inspiration for photography. So AI is interesting in the sense that it brings into question the creativity and the scope of creativity. You know, when a violinist plays a violin, the sound that comes out belongs to the violin, not to the person. Yeah, it belongs to the technology of the violin. It's a marriage. And if I think of where AI and machine learning and other technologies will go in the future, I see this as very, very fertile grounds for artists to exercise their creativity and make new contributions to the world of art. I don't see replacement as an issue. In the end, whatever the machine is going to do, there has to be some human agency that has set it in motion. Now, of course, at a certain moment, the machine may go off and start doing its own thing. And we can then, you know, watch it and be amused by it or horrified by it, or say, no, let's stop this, it's silly, or no, this is really interesting, let's keep going. It's a bit like these poetry engines. You know, there are beautiful poetry engines that have been created algorithmically. Some make great poetry and just others make nonsense. But still, somebody has crafted the engine, and that generates, then the machine, let's say, is able to do something more or less interesting. So and for the artist, it's a potentially very dynamic relationship. I'd like to just share with you, if you don't mind, I'll just do this very, very quickly, a shared screen. I want to just show you one work, which for me was just simply invigorating in this sense. Let me just see if I can bring this up. I'll just show you one work, for example. This was a work which I made in 1966. I'll just turn the sound down. It's an animated film, but the images are hand-drawn, yeah? And these are the drawings. You see, it was two people made these drawings together alternately, but you see the sheets on the left where we made the drawings, and we end up making thousands of drawings. And over a period of about a year, I think, that we were working on this. And then we made cells, you know, traditional 16mm film animation cells. And then there you see the 16mm film that we made in 1966. Now, recently, I worked with one of our faculty, Hector Rodriguez at School of Creative Media, who's very interested in machine learning and has a lot of skill in terms of machine learning. So I said to him, look, what happens if we just give all these drawings to a computer and let the computer learn what the formal language is of these drawings? And the result was that in 2020, I was able to exhibit a new work, which I call Continuous Sound Image Moments Machine Learning 220. And I just want to show it to you because you can see that there is a lot of similarity. In other words, the computer did a good job figuring out what the formal language was of those images. And also now the animation is not fixed on film, but is interactive. So the user, so this is a new feature, the user can control the frame rate of the animation. And I'm just going to show you the two things side by side so that you can get a feel for the relationship between these two works. Now, one for me doesn't replace the other. In fact, what interests me now is that you can put these two things side by side and you can say, look, we've got two paths of creativity. One was a series of drawings that became a 16mm film. Another, a series of drawings which was given to a computer. And now the computer can create thousands, millions of these drawings. Endless. I mean, we ran out of steam after 1 year. And here you have and so there you have this. So I just wanted to share this with you to give you one example of a work which actually I found very gratifying and very simple too, but certainly for me, and also culturally relevant. You know, the film in 1966 was a radical animation film of its time, right? And now I'd like to think I've created another animation film, maybe hopefully as radical, which is a radical animation film of this time.
Yeah, artists, they will always be creative regardless of whether artificial intelligence is involved or not. Eva, I would like to comment also on this issue, what artificial intelligence is for you. But before you do that, I would also like to invite our audience to ask questions, because I think that our discussion is quite fascinating. There are many subjects tackled, and please, all who would like to ask something, write us your questions on chat, and we will still have time to for our panelists to answer some of, at least, your questions. So Eva, please, another artist in our team, what is AI for you? How do you treat it?
Oh, as I mentioned before, even though I'm like the sculptor, so for me it's like something that I have in my mind in the art process that is so much more than just a tool. It's really hard to explain in a very easy way what is the how I'm thinking about it, but when I'm in the artistic process. But for me, it is something like we need to rethink about the space and how I could use it during my artistic process. So I'm so sorry, it's really hard to explain, because for now I'm exactly trying to make my own exhibition in the Polish Sculpture Center, and I'm using AR now. So I'm in the process, so I'm so sorry for that. But when I'm thinking about the space, and when I'm trying to think about the public, how they will come inside some gallery space, I'm trying to predict how they could think and how they could feel there. So for me, the AR, it's like the tool, how I could use, making the immersional context for them. So it's not just like the stone, it's not just like working on it inside, even that I could create it like this, but it's something that I could add and make some other dimension. Because like for artists who are like working with the space as the architectural designers or sculptors, the AR, it's like something much more bigger to create and to share with people. For example, for me, it is also a very useful tool when I'm working with artists in San Diego. When I'm making the operas, we could make the platform and we could see the project before it will be in the normal world, before we will meet up in the opera building. We could create something in the space, and where we can create like the composers, like the set designers and many others. And we have like the model, for example, in the space, and where we could try our ideas. Because like for now, in the international context where we are like making the cooperation, I think this is like the most important to make this feeling for public before we will meet up somewhere. And even though it will be like the normal art, like where the public will be sit down and view the show. few years ago, I have a really great experience to work with my friend who is a composer. It's Wojtek Blechasz. We make the body opera, where I was the set designer, and where we use like the AR and like some kind of Arduino things, where we try to also join the public and use their bodies as the instruments. So we make some special microphones, and we try to join them to make this whole project together. So for me, it is like really, AR is a really important tool to develop myself as an artist, and also to develop some kind of ideas that will be not touchable without them. I do hope I explained it very well. I'm so sorry, because I'm now in the artistic process. So I'm trying to rethink and reuse some kind of Arduino systems now. So I do believe that one more time, it will be much more easier to get for me as for an artist, and to work out in the whole over the world, because I think it's like the future and how we could understand art.
Thank you very much, Eva. I would like to thank you for the question also from the audience. We have a very interesting question from Mr. Zebnisto Asrorova, who actually could be addressed this comment to Professor Shaw. I'm drawing and painting for 14 years, and I felt that anxiety of replacement. Now I can say it is no time to change, even with small steps, but forward. Thank you for the interesting topic. Professor, how would you comment on this comment?
So was he saying that he feels okay, or he's still feeling anxious?
Well, for me, it's still being anxious. Maybe it could, sorry, it's a woman. So
honestly, look, there are so many wonderful painters that are still painting. There are still so many wonderful painters who are innovating painting. There are so many sculptors who are innovating sculpture. You know, painting has got a long future ahead of it, and sculpture, all the traditional media have great futures. My son is doing ceramics, right? Not media art. And so all these things have a path. They have a path from the past. They have a path in the present. They have a path in the future. And what we are looking at now is, let's say, an enlargement of the range of possibilities for a creative person today. A creative person today has a whole range of choices to make. And if you decide that AI, and the synergy of AI and art making is an interesting direction, a way in which you can bring something. And when I mean bring something, I mean just not invent some kind of new trick or new, special effects, because I'm not interested in, I mean, AI is great for special effects, that's true, but we're not talking about special effects here. We're talking about art making. And I think for lots of young artists here, this is a wonderful challenge here, and that is, what is the shape of art in the future that is being, that we're the instrument, and more than the instrument, because as I said, the violin is more than merely a tool, where the instrument is these new technologies.
Thank you, Professor. I hope you answered Mrs. Benisto's comment, and I would like to just say that it's her, so sorry for that. And before I go to another question from the public, thank you, and please send out more questions. I would like to ask Piotr about your comments from the competition for artists. You said that actually 80% of people who participated were not artists, but they are coming from the world of technology. How do you explain that? I mean, why artists? What is the barrier for artists to enter?
Let me start with the definition. I mean, first of all, when you say you're making a contest for art created by AI, the question is, what is AI and what is the tool? Because first of all, The best, I would say, drawings, the best videos were actually created by a real artist who worked previously with AI tools, very advanced AI tools, which are ready to use, which means they're not coding anything. They're just, using programs from some of big corporations like Adobe or many others, because we have to be aware that AI, it's a buzzword which show up like 5, maybe 4 years ago, but AI is algorithms, and those algorithms are used in many programs like Photoshop or many others, which are already embedded. So in those programs, because they help us enhance the drawing or enhance the video by just clicking like enhance, and it's do all the magic for you. So so coming back to the topic, like I said, it depends how you understand AI. We had couple successful engineers who actually made a real program, uploaded more than 2,000 photos or drawings, and then make a transformation based on a very famous artist, which means that they how to say that they actually feed the algorithms with 2,000 pictures. They teach the algorithm what is the style of the artist, right? And then they send a drawing to that algorithms, and as an output, you had this transformation. So actually, let me even, I think it was set in the Middle East. Picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me show you what I'm talking about in the meantime. But I'm saying that it depends on the how people actually understand AI, and most of the people were actually thinking about coding, and I think that's why we had so many data scientists or AI engineers in our contest. But nevertheless, I also see, by the way, a trend, and that's very important, by the way, from I would say AI policy point of view, that AI is a discipline which is horizontal, which means that if you want to be an expert, let's say AI in healthcare, you have to actually combine at least 2 people in that team. One is from healthcare, the other is responsible for engineering. And I think the same is for artists, which means that you actually, it's very, very hard to be an artist if you want to program, because come on, if you finish the university, it's obvious. On one side, you are engineer, so University of Technology. By the way, that's my career. Or you are like an artist, a lawyer, doctor, whatever. It's a different kind of story. And over there, they don't teach you how to code. So it's very hard for, I think, artists to start coding or even compile or do something with the tools. So that's why I think 80% of those people were actually coders. So just to give you for 5 seconds, just to give you an idea about the transformation that I was talking about. Yeah, you should see my screen. So I was talking about transformation. So the engineer actually uploaded 2,000 pictures from Polish artist. That's on the left. Then he uploaded a new photo of the church somewhere from Bieszczady or wherever, and then he get as an output on the right side. He get actually the new photo, which looks like on the left, right, is the style of the artist. But and I must say that he was one of the leader of this contest, because actually he was a good coder, and like I said, he managed to upload dozens of photos to the algorithms. I created the algorithms. So to sum up, 80% are coders because it's a tough work. But I believe the Adobe and many others corporation are doing great work, and I offering the tools actually, so we don't have to code anything. So it will grow. The number of artists who use AI, I think, will grow.
Professor Fang, I think that this is like shows the necessity of integration of technology with art, and I know that this is something that you are doing. Could you tell us briefly about your project?
So, so we do two kinds of projects. One is creating tools for artists, and the other, as I said, was AI art itself, working closely with the artists and myself as an artist to create art. So I want to speak to the first one. So we have actually created an online style transfer tool, so the artists can use it to create the art they want, and they can adjust the style, they adjust the content, whatever they want. That's a tool we created maybe 2 years ago, because there was a need to do that, because the machines, so it's the current existing technology, if you want to do that, it's too slow and it requires a lot of machine power. So we actually had to do a lot of algorithm optimization so that artists can actually use it and see, and then they can adjust it in real time. So this is a very meaningful project we did.
If I may jump in, what I meant was that you create teams between artists and coders, right? And this is something maybe that this is like a step towards integration.
Yes. So yes, so at CAFA and UST, I started teaching a course jointly with the CAFA professor 3 years ago. So we've taught this for 3 years. Well, we teach AI, the fundamentals of AI, and how can AI be used in art and examples and so on, to CAFA students together with our computer science students. So the computer science students are not many, because not many of them are interested in art, but some of them, and we just combine them. And we'll be experimenting with this course for 3 years now, and every year will change a bit. And this year, my experience is that we have to we have to actually design a curriculum where some of the necessary basic skills we have to teach the art students. It is possible to teach them. We don't have to go to, it's not the same way as teaching computer science to students at all. And I also believe that the current division of science and art students education from high school is way too separated. And in the future, we need to teach them together, or at least teach some of the art students some STEM knowledge and some of the STEM students art culture. So we experiment for 3 years, and I'm still not happy with the current format. But one important thing we found is that it's super important for the art and the engineering students to be together, meaning they have to do their projects together. So it's all project driven, and they actually have to design the projects together, because so that's what Peter just said, that you need both sides of the people. But then you also cannot have two kinds of people who cannot talk to each other. So we need to have art students who are actually interested in learning some coding, and the computer science students who are actually interested in art. They cannot be completely separate. So I have 3 PhD students who are very interested in art itself. Like, we go to museums whenever we travel together for conferences. In traditional art, they are interested in traditional art. And some of the CAFA students, they are interested in playing with Arduino. They are interested in learning some coding, and they actually can code to some extent, not the most elaborate kind of coding. But coding has evolved. Like today's AI coding programming, I always joke to my students. I say to them, you guys are not coding at all, because you're just using some high level existing libraries to put things together. When in my generation, we had to code at a much lower level, and then previous generation actually had to do machine language coding, right? So coding is evolving, and it's going to be higher and higher level, to the extent that I believe within 10, 20 years, our students can code. Anybody can code, because the programming language will be evolved to a very high level. So for example, Adobe and such companies will come up with a tool or programming language for artists. Today we have programming languages for children, for example, Scratch or Sketch. Oh, what is it called? I forgot. But anyway, so there's programming language for children, right? So there will be programming language that the artists can use. And I think that is the way of the future. So it's not like have two people who are of completely different knowledge and background. It is a very, very difficult. It's very difficult to get people who are like that to work together, actually, in
So
any field.
maybe this is like a very good postulate and a recommendation that students of art should be taught coding, and students of
High-level coding, you know, not yes, because they don't need to.
arts to integrate the two words.
Right.
I'm afraid our time is running. Before I give the floor to Małgorzata and Bill again, I would like to ask the last question from our audience. But I just lost it, yes, and I found it, sorry. This is a question for Barnabas Pinter. Just like you mentioned, it is really important in art whether there will be people who buy the pieces. I am very curious about what are your thoughts on the future of branding of AI art and AI artworks in auction houses. Who of you feels the most competent to answer this question?
Maybe I'll just give a short feedback from the auction house that I had, just 1 week ago, because it's fresh. So in terms of the buyers, or in terms of trend, because Małgorzata also asked the question in the chat, I think first of all, the past auction houses or the current auction houses, like Christie, they just sold the NFT for $69 million. They try to be in the new market, and I would say just use the digital tools and digital paintings as an additional asset that they sell. So everything stays the same, right? But the NFT and internet is changing that game. What does it mean? Right now, there are open repositories like OpenSea, where actually, it's like Amazon, Allegro in Poland, where there is no auction house. People just bidding. There's no curator of art, because I'm trying to say that there are two trends. The one is the old one, like there is an auction house, and the auction house is saying this is good, this is not good. The price of that art should be higher. You have to buy it. So there's a client, and they advise the client, you should buy it. That's a very good artist. It's so yeah, curator of art, and that's an old story, old-fashioned selling pictures, I would say, drawings, whatever art. But the new way of that is, I believe that because of the internet era that we live in, and it's like democratization, I would say, because everyone, they don't need any curator right now. It's just, do I like it or not? And I see that marketplaces for arts are booming. What that means? Cut the middleman. It's again the revolution. So like with Disney in the past was paying cinemas to distribute the films. What Disney did, they just created a VOD and now just selling you directly the subscription to buy the films. So higher margins, direct link with the consumer. And I believe that the NFT and the digital revolution will actually support the artists, because it will cut all the middlemen between artists and between artists and the end consumer of that art. And you will actually support that artist by giving directly the money to the artist by buying token, for example.
I must say that it seems to be very logical and natural conclusion that digital art does not need like traditional auction houses, but can be bought directly on internet in this, as you say, democratic way. Thank you very much for all your insights and for this fascinating discussion. I'm afraid that our time is running and we'll have to end up here. I think that you managed to convince me that artificial intelligence and art will make, or already makes, a good match. And I would like to now ask Małgorzata and Bill to finish our fascinating discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Aga. I find it quite interesting, really, because I'm a political scientist and I rarely really enter into the art field. And I just find it so crucial, because maybe, we say that artists have this kind of senses, the extra sense to feel the future, that artists are always in the avant-garde of the processes which happen in all the other domains, in politics, in the society, in the economy. So maybe, just this discussion about the future of art, it's not only the discussion about the art of the future, but also about politics of the future, about, you know, economy of the future, about the trends which the art can always visualize and, you know, show us earlier than it really comes to our reality. We have now some other also questions concerning intellectual property. I myself, I'm very much interested in asking about other trends, not only what Piotr mentioned, which I find fascinating, that the TV set can be really a painting in our house. But what I understand would be one of the recommendations or one of the conclusions out of this discussion is that it's not only that artificial intelligence and new technology is a tool, but actually we are going under the total radical change of maybe many things, if not everything we are used to have around us. So it's not only a tool, it's maybe something much deeper, which will change our reality. So that will be conclusion from our side. We'll try also to write down some basic, you know, conclusions out of this discussion and put it on air. I understand we don't have time even to answer Professor Funk about how can we can be sure that artificial intelligence will have a value, right? And I find the question concerning branding also very interesting. So definitely, I understand that this was a fruitful discussion. Bill, over to you.
Yeah, can I add to that comment from Margareta and also Piotr, because I want to end this with actually a question rather than a conclusion, because it's really very inspiring. It makes me think about, in the economic side, we talk a lot about the use of AI, 3D printing, that's leading to the fourth industrial revolution. That means the product will be more personalized. It will be more really client-driven rather than just mass production. And then that really leads me to the thinking that whether the use of AI in the area of art will lead to similar trends, same to really in the industrial production, that there will be more personalized, more client-centered form of art production, rather than the expression from the artist itself. I think that's really some of the radical change that Margareta has mentioned, and also Piotr has mentioned. So that's really a question from me, and I don't have any answer, but that seems to be quite an interesting way to look at this thing, not just from the artist's perspective, but also from the consumer's perspective.
Bill, thank you very much. And let me end with this note that Hong Kong, as you can see, is really an interesting place to be when you are an artist or artificial intelligence specialist who wants to really learn more and be, you know, more influential in different domains, not only in IT. But Bill, I just want you to mention something which will happen in Hong Kong in November, which is actually dedicated to science. And the conclusion, my suggestion will be maybe it should be enlarged in the future for, you know, this artist domain, but now it's a purely scientific competition about the forum, laureate forum you are doing.
Well, I would just say one word about one sentence about that. We are going to have a laureate forum. I hope that will still be held when the pandemic situation eases, because it's very important. I mean, we talk a lot about tech, a lot about creation, a lot about science, and all of these have to be done by really nurturing talents. We will need to give them directions and to really pass on experiences. So I think the purpose of the Hong Kong government in supporting the Hong Kong Laureate Forum is to encourage talents and young scientists to really learn from the experience from the sure laureates themselves in the way of exploring different facets of science, including, of course, mathematics, astrology, and so on. So, I mean, there are lots of really driving forces in Hong Kong that we want to push to expand our talent base, to really diversify our economy and also our, I mean, the way that we see Hong Kong's development in the future is not just really an entry port, it's not just a place to do financial services, fintech, but also other areas of things, including arts, movies, science, and so on.
Thank you, Bill. So we encourage you to follow this event. And if you know any scientists who might be interested in this gathering, it will be in November. And we hope to have another Europe-Asia bridge soon, maybe in June, dedicated to science and academic cooperation. Thank you very much, all the participants. Thank you very much, the speakers, first of all. Professor Pascal Funk, Professor Jeffrey Shaw, Ewa Śmigielska and Piotr Mieczkowski, and also Katarzyna Stanny from Warsaw Academy of Art, and Michał Znaniecki, worldwide known opera director. Thank you for all the questions, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.